angels. Back again and ready for all of you. So I was shooting the live video a moment ago, and of course the video actually cut out, ironically. But that's okay, we're not gonna let that hold us back. I actually reached out to a friend of mine that's pretty high up in a position, and he always monitors things like that when they happen. So now that I've got him watching, we'll see if this one goes a little longer. So I'm gonna wait and see if YouTube actually gathers me an audience. And as you come on here, if you can just hit the thumbs up button and tell me in the comments section where you're tuning in from. And once you tell me in the comments section where you're tuning in from, I'll get started with these messages for all of you. But not until you guys tell me where you're tuning in from. Very, very important. And love when I see clients of mine come on in the comments. So just tell me the city, state, country you are tuning in from. That really helps, and that I'm coming through clearly and that you can hear everything I'm saying. So I was sharing with all of you, and that's why I reached out to my friend when the video abruptly cut off. It's really interesting when that happens. He has a way of looking in on systems that is quite unique, and I'm happy he was available to do so. So we'll see if we can get a little further this time without the interruption. You know, I entitled this blackout video, "What are you actually doing to help the collective or to heal the collective?" What are you actually doing? And that's a serious question I want to ask you. And we're going to have a few people that listen to this that are in one category of literally trying to heal the collective at a very high integrated level. Then we're going to have another group that's just trying to make the almighty dollar, right? They're tuning in to watch everybody else, to see what everybody else is doing. You know, they'll be posting on social media over the next month, you know, we really want to help the collective. We really want to help the greater consciousness. We really want to do this for, you know, because that's what they do. They watch what other people do, and they you know, it's in one way, it's how we learn off of other people. But in another way, if it's not truly who we are, if we know deep down in our hearts that we're really out for the almighty dollar, and we're not really, helping people plant trees. We're not really helping people get healthier. We're not really helping people change their destructive patterns. Then we're really nothing but, a money-hungry piece of shit, right? You know, if the shoe fits. So I was sharing earlier a question that one of my clients asked me, and I'm going to use the name Sarah. That's actually not her name, but I know she tunes in, and she has a very unique name, so that's what I'm going to call her. But she was a holistic wellness coach of mine in like 2017, and now she's an intuitive life coach. And I've helped her scale her business from nothing to over 10,000 a month in just a short period of time of working with her. By the way, intuitive life coaching, AndreaCox.com, click on intuitive guidance, then intuitive life coaching. And before I get into the question she asked, I do want to let you all know that I've been really indulging in self-care. Over the past week, I've had a 90-minute massage every evening, and the gentleman who gives me my massages is on his way, and tonight we're going to do it in front of the jacuzzi outside. I've got such a beautiful view of the desert, of the mountains, and then in the far, far distance, the city. So we're going to do it in the garden. And I was blessed last week to meet an amazing gardener who has taught me so much. And I just really feel grateful for all the people I'm around here. When you think you know everything and then someone comes in and can teach you, right? So my client Sarah, she asked me, how can I know if I'm following the will of God when I make a decision? That's what she had asked me. And it was a really profound question. She's a very deep human. And she was making a decision in business on whether or not to take a client that she knew was not in alignment with her. Okay, she knew. And I have rules. I turn clients down all the time. I turn clients down who are on heavy psychological pharmaceutical drugs. I have a retreat coming up October 19th through the 23rd. We've got horseback riding at the retreat. I can't have someone that's, on an SSRI that may become drowsy or that, could not do well during the juice fast or, and may suffer. I can't have that. And so I turn people away if I don't feel like they are physically or mentally able to handle some components of my programs. So she asked, how can I know if I'm following the will of God when I make a decision? And I said, well, you'll find out really soon. It won't take very long. If it's the will of God, everything will go incredibly smoothly. If it's your egoic will, you'll get the blow right away. God's will is always, always, always for the benefit of everybody, including you. Your egoic thought is selfish. It wants to win. It wants attention. It wants your benefit first. The ego always wants something for itself. That was my answer. Let me grab him. You silly boy. Maverick wants cherimoyas that are up on, I've got 3 beautiful beehive fireplaces in this house, and cherimoyas are poisonous. The seeds are poisonous to dogs, and corn is poisonous to dogs. A cob can lodge itself in the stomach, and grapes are highly poisonous. So whenever I buy food or grow food that is poisonous to my dogs, I actually put it on top of the fireplace mantle in the kitchen, or actually in the fireplace. And he is moaning for those cherimoyas. He actually got up on a stool today and started jumping. It's so cute. Anyway, so, you're going to hear him moaning. Sorry, that's his nails. So the will of God goes smoothly. And I use the example of when I moved out of California to Las Vegas. Stop. I've got him on my lap now. I use the example of when I moved to California to Las Vegas, and I've shared this with you, and I'm going to sum it up. When I left California, I'd lived there for 10 years, and although I loved it, California was very good for my business. I had a lot of celebrity clients. I went through a lot of karmic relationships, and I've taught you guys that God will put the same karmic situation in front of you with a different face until you learn the lesson. So if you had a parent that you perceive as abusive, usually it's just because they're doing the best they can and you're selfish yourself. But if you had a parent that's an abusive, you'll say a parent didn't pay any attention to you. Your husband won't pay attention to you. Your kids won't pay attention to you. Your employees won't pay attention to you. That person you want to be your friend won't pay attention to you. Everybody will show your parent's face until you learn the frickin' lesson. And my lesson to learn I had, and it's so funny and very interesting that right when I started talking about this in the last video, the video cut out. Isn't that something? I had been repeatedly abused by people who abused technical power, men who I did not want to be with at all, who I would leave. And they were either high ranking, one was a government official, the other one was just a hacker, just a low life. And they would attack my business, my livelihood, my work, my channel, my videos. They would report my videos several times. They would do anything they could to try to get me to not be able to make money, not be able to earn a living, etc. And, you know, when people say, well, God, why do you need to talk about that? Well, I will talk about it until women stop coming to me and hiring me because they've suffered through the same thing. So our pain becomes our purpose. When I healed myself from an eating disorder, I helped thousands of women heal from an eating disorder. My pain became my purpose. When I have dealt with jealousy, envy, bitterness, anger from people as a model and now, and that my pain has become my purpose, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with sharing that. So I want to share with you when I moved from California to Las Vegas, and remember what I told Sarah, my exact words were, God's will is always, my dog is just being a butthole, is always for the benefit of everybody, including you. Your egotistic thought and selfish ways will stop it, right? So when we're doing something for the ego, it hits us in the face right away, right? Right away. So, or when we're doing something for attention, or when we're doing something to get even with someone, it backfires immediately. Sorry, I had to grab him again. So, for example, when I relocated from California to Las Vegas, I just wanted out. I wasn't making decisions thoroughly, and I got robbed by a moving company. They kept my furniture, a whole semi-truck of furniture in between states, called me on the phone, wanted more money. It was like a $13,000 move, and I didn't have any peace from the moment I moved in. Not an ounce of peace. The owners were up my ass. They lived one street over, paid them 56 grand, never paid a bill late. The woman was over there every other day. She was passive aggressive when I had to set a healthy boundary. No yard work was done the last 5 months I was there because she was the, get this, they own the landscaping company and they were still charging me $100 a month for landscaping, and it wasn't even being done. So of course, when they offered me a new lease, I actually thought about it, but I wanted to buy a house. I wanted to relocate. The cycle was over, and so I ended it. I'm very good at ending karmic cycles. If something's not healthy for me or another person, out of respect for that person, out of respect for myself, I will set a healthy boundary and end it, and I will put an end to it. So, you know, I learned very quickly when I didn't want to renew the lease after they offered me a new lease in written form that they were going to be very nasty. They actually tried to act like they didn't know my dog was there, that they had accepted money on for over a year, and that I had text messages proving that they knew from the day I had him he was there. And it became very toxic. And I knew, I was like, man, it's going to be worth every penny to move out of here. 20 grand, fine. Loss of clients, fine. I'm getting out of here. So, but when I moved from there to here, my home in this mountain, everything went smooth. And everything has continued to go smooth. I haven't had a single problem since I've moved in here. My movers cost me 10 grand. They were awesome. They moved every single thing, not a single thing got broken. They just were absolutely fantastic. I had the whole house unpacked by myself within 48 hours. I hired an organizer. She was great. I've since hired a house manager and a few other people to come in and help me. Hang on. No, we're not going to do that. You're not going to, no cherimoyas for you. Brad's going to be here soon to give a massage. So, and doggies get their massages too. So, I realized that I was making the right decision when everything went smooth, and everything was a colossal fucking disaster when I moved from San Diego to Las Vegas. I had no peace there. None whatsoever. So, and it wasn't even all that. I mean, it was even going to the gym was, people are different in Vegas. You can't get through a workout with someone hitting on you. And here it's different. I'm in a very high class area, very, very wealthy, affluent area. It's different. And it's my speed. People leave each other alone. I've met amazing people here. There's an awesome vegan spiritual community here. The resort I'm hosting the retreats is literally, I can throw a rock and hit the resort, and there's horseback riding there. We're going to be doing classes there. I'm bringing facilitators in for breath work. I've always wanted this life that I'm building right now. Always. It's like I've always wanted this. And for me, that's worth it, right? I've learned the karmic lessons. I deserve this. Now, let's talk about when things don't go smoothly in your life, right? So say you're really interested in a woman and she pays no fucking attention to you. You blow up her phone constantly. She ignores you. You see that she has a gardener or a plumber or a dog poop picker-upper, and you immediately assume she's fucking him, and you're all in your head. You're crazy, like Scorpio crazy. You're an unhealed person, and you have a lot of work to do on yourself, right? If you're the type of person that blows up from jealousy, envy, and anger and tries to spite someone, oh, I'm going to ruin their business. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to do this. You can be truthful. You can Yelp someone's business. It's perfectly legal. If someone's done you wrong in business, you can Yelp them. But if you try to spite someone underhandedly, look what happens to your skin. Your skin will break out. Look what happens to your health. Lose your appetite, lose a bunch of, won't look as good. Look what happens to your money. Look what happens to your mood. You end up, spite produces the worst karma, my friends. Spite produces the worst karma. Now, can you tell someone how you feel and tell them they acted like douchebags? Sure. I told my old landlords that. I'm like, you guys are fucking losers. You're thieves. You're liars. All paranoid someone's going to, stab you in the back for business, and here you do it to people that pay your mortgage for 2 years. You're pieces of shit. I told them, I'm the type of person that will say how I feel. It was honest. It was honest. But would I ever underhandedly try to harm someone's ability to make money? Absolutely not, because you know what? I know that would affect my money, and I don't play with my money. No one does. No one does. Would I ever screw someone over literally knowing that, okay, I owe this person a deposit back. For example, they owe me a deposit back and they haven't paid it. And I've asked them for it several times. Would I ever do that? Absolutely not. You know why? I'd put a halt to my money. So people who are uneducated spiritually, people who aren't woke, people who are still eating pork and red meat and just complete third eye closed, unconscious as hell, not following their family lineage, not not honoring their ancestors who walked before them by being good people, they never really get ahead. Not really. They don't. They're always kind of, working to the bone, right? Trying to get ahead, trying to one up people, trying to see what other people are doing, to get ahead, to step on someone's neck, to take from someone else and produce off of it. Those people never truly get ahead, and they hate people like me. And that's okay. That's okay. I've dealt with envy, jealousy my entire life. It doesn't even affect me. Doesn't. It rolls, I don't even have to do a salt bath, for God's sake. It rolls off me like a raindrop on a rooftop gutter. And they are the gutter. And I'm the terracotta shingles, or the travertine floor, baby. So, when people ask, how do I know if I'm doing the will of God? Like Sarah asked, again, that's not her real name. I don't want to use her real name because it's super unique. I always say things will go really smoothly if it's the will of God. If it's not the will of God, it will be really slow, really unorganized, really fucked up. You won't feel good about it. I never felt good from the moment I moved into that house in Las Vegas. It was the final karmic lesson of people trying to control me that had no right to have a hand in my business. It was the final karmic lesson. I had repeated that lesson 3 times in my life. And I always share the story of, people are like, well, why don't you want a relationship? I have been in a relationship the majority of my life. For those of you who don't know, the reason I can talk about relationships like a champ, I was in an 11-year relationship. Most marriages don't last that long. I was in a 5-year relationship. So for 16 years of my life, I was solidly committed. It's not that I don't want a relationship. If I'm in a relationship, I am going to be free to create, free to speak my mind, free to do whatever the fuck I want to do, as long as I'm loyal and not bringing anything home but the groceries, if you know what I mean. And I'm going to get into the messages in a second, because a lot of you have someone bringing home something, and it isn't good. All right. But, and definitely I'm going to be with someone that doesn't make up stories in their sick, crazy mind about what I'm doing when I'm not with them. I brought up the government thing, and it's really easy. It's real interesting that I brought up the guy I dated in the government and then this video cut out. That's really fucking interesting to me, and I'm going to tell you why. He was a computer scientist in the government, total control freak. Going through a divorce, and reached out to me a few months ago, literally as she was walking out the door. And I was like, okay. She just came and got her stuff with her brother. I'm like, okay, and because I'm never going back. But one of the things, let me grab my dog, hang on. Stop, come here. You're so damn cute to be so mean. So one of the things that's interesting is he was the last person I dated before I moved from San Diego. And I mean, he was the worst control freak I had ever met. And I have seen some pretty big ones. I had went through a breakup years before with someone that was kind of a hacker, and who had really stalked me with his partner for a decade, and was very, very sick and twisted, and literally like everything I did, they tried to emulate. It was odd, and not in a good way. It was for money. But anyway, moving on, I dated someone else, and he wanted to spend every waking moment with me. And when I say every waking moment, I mean, I could not, I was so focused on work, and he knew that. And he was actually very focused on work as well. It would have been a great relationship had he been able to chill the fuck out and not get all in his head when I wanted to be alone. Anyway, he was psycho, and that's with all due respect. He worked for the government. He was a computer scientist, and I needed time alone. I needed a lot of alone time to create. My job and working with the clients I work with takes a lot of mental space, mental clarity. I need to be left the fuck alone to do what I do. And he wouldn't allow me to have that. So he made up all these stories in his head, accused me of things. I was like, dude, this is weird. I'm done. And out of spite, went and got married to some girl who apparently, according to him, took him for everything he had. And when I say everything, I mean everything. He said she got her teeth done and this and that, and like took him for all his money. And who is he calling the second they go through a divorce? Me. I'm sorry for the way I treated you. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the apology. And that was it. There's no spite in my heart. I could care less. I'm not in love with the guy. So, but right before he got married, he also reached out wanting to see me, and I had already moved to Las Vegas. And I have a male friend named George, and I had reached out to George, and George had guided me not to see him. He's like, I don't get a good feeling. I said, you know what? I don't either. Thank you. And I had deadened that. The reason I'm sharing this little piece with you, trust your intuition. Trust it. Because when you think and you know in your heart someone is toxic and they do crazy stuff like get married because of you, because you won't see him again, like just to try to spite you, and you really could care less because you really weren't into him to begin with, really, really, really listen to your intuition. Because someone who comes back after you 3 times in a row when you tell them no is not respecting your boundaries. I want to say that again. Someone who comes back 3 times after you tell them no is not respecting your fucking boundaries. Got it? So when I moved into the house in Vegas and someone was not respecting my boundaries to, when I said, look, I film on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, please don't come over with the fucking leaf blower, please. Can you give me a schedule of what day you'll be here? And repeatedly, every Tuesday and Wednesday, I would get a frickin' email. We're coming over. They'll be over. And I just thought, God, I'm rescheduling clients. I'm losing money. This is ridiculous. Your client should never know the name of a landlord that's a pain in the ass. And my clients all knew the name, and that was sad. I developed so much anxiety there, and the anxiety, and here's the key, the anxiety was really reminiscent. Sorry, I'm trying to hold my dog at the same time. The anxiety was really reminiscent of what I had went through. So it almost became like a trauma, right? It almost became, if you hear moaning, it's my dog. You know what? No. Yeah, you're not going to get any. And I said, no. And you're not respecting my boundaries now. Sit. So let me get him a carrot, you guys. You want a carrot? You know you're being an asshole, right? You are. Sorry about the chewing in the background. So when someone isn't respecting your boundaries like that, it's literally a control freak. It's someone that has to have control of everything around it, right? So what I noticed in Vegas is there was almost, the trauma was coming up as almost PTSD. Like I was waking up fearing, checking my emails like, oh my God, is this woman gonna be in my inbox today? I was crying to my mother who is in her 70s. yeah. I was like, God, I got this hard ass, crazy ass, like coming over 2 and 3 times a week, will not take the fact that I'm requesting a schedule for lawn maintenance as a solidarity, like no bargains, like crazy. And so what happened was it took me back to dating the computer scientist that wouldn't take, no, I cannot see you tonight for an answer, would, call me a whore, assume the worst, claim I was seeing someone else, etc. And then it went back even further to the guy that I dated for a frickin' minute, that honest to God, I didn't even know. I don't even know how we got engaged. A ring fell on my hand. I have no idea. It happened 10 years ago. It would take me back to that scenario. Like, oh my God, that guy tried to ruin my life he tried to smear my name on the internet. Like all of these patterns came up until I was like, I have to face this head on. This is the root cause of my trauma right here. Nothing happened in childhood. Nothing happened in, here, Lewis. No, here's your carrot. Hang on. Okay, sorry. I mean, things did happen in childhood, but not to this degree, right? Everything happens everyone has something happen in childhood. But what I came to the conclusion of is I had dealt with Hierophant in reverse, Emperor in reverse energy my whole adult life, basically. Meaning people, this was the first time it was ever a woman, usually it was men, who wanted to destroy me when I didn't want them in my life any longer because I realized they were a fucking closet control freak. Bottom line, that's what I was dealing with. So I made a conscious choice when I was being extorted for money in that last house. They fined me like $800, claiming that they didn't know about my dog that they had collected money on for a year. And it was a joke. It was retaliation because I didn't want to renew a lease. I made a conscious decision, and I remember sitting and praying in front of my altar table one morning at 3 a.m. And I had a picture of my dad. I will never forget this. I had a picture of my dad, and I was channeling his strength and his energy, and I called him in. And don't you know, a frickin' baseball showed up in my yard that day, and he was a baseball player. I mean, he could have played for the Reds. He was so talented. And so in that moment, I was like, okay, I see what I have to do. I'm going to manifest this. The next day, I manifested a $20,000 client, and I was fucking gone. I was like, bye. Like, I was just like, okay, here's the money to put down on that. Here's the money to move. Here's the money to do. Like, I just was out of there. I was done. Hang on. No, and I mean no more. And so, when you deal with the same type of abusive scenario over and over and over again, look at this. This channel, look at, hang on. This channel, if you click on videos and you click on most popular, just 2 years ago was getting 60 to 80,000 views per video. Now you tell me the channel wasn't messed with by someone who was jealous and envious that I was working too much and didn't want to spend time with them. You tell me that the channel wasn't sabotaged by someone who wasn't jealous and envious. Right? There's a reason I have 3 channels and one has over 100,000 subscribers and I don't share it on social media. Because when I do, it gets destroyed. It gets destroyed from people who are controlling, jealous, and envious. And it's been something that I've had to conquer my entire life. Look at you, there's 7 of you on here, 4 thumbs up. That means 3 of you are haters. Now they're going. So, you know, I hate to put things so harshly, but sometimes you have to say things harshly in order to get your point across. And what I want to ask all of you is, what are you truly doing for the collective consciousness to awaken? Are you truly helping people get healthy, or are you in it for money? Are you constantly trying to scheme on how you can make money the next way? I'm taking a huge loss on this retreat. 2 of the women booked when I was still living in Vegas. Hang on, my dog is literally trying to climb up the fireplace. No. No more. You had carrots. So I'm taking a loss because I want to honor those women that booked before I moved out of Vegas. I didn't have time to plan this like I would have liked to, because I had to plan a move that cost me upwards of $20,000. I had to cancel $17,000 in coaching clients because I knew I wouldn't be able to help my clients during my relocation. I lost close to $50,000. But I'm honoring these women that are coming because A, they're repeat clients from 10 years ago, and B, I want to do the right thing. So how can you say, if you're targeting someone with jealousy and envy, hate, any of that, how can you say you're healing the collective consciousness? If you're watching someone's stories from a fake account on Instagram or Facebook, if you're messaging them from a fake account, if you're targeting their work from a fake account, when I say targeting, I mean reporting their stuff, how can you say you're doing something to heal the collective consciousness? Especially if that person is doing something to help heal humanity. How can you call yourself a good person even? Stay in your karmic, toxic life with your karmic, toxic partner and your karmic, toxic future children or children. But leave people alone that are actually trying to heal humanity, because I want to tell you what happens when you play with someone's livelihood and your money. And, you know, the very first person that targeted me, the one I was with for like a minute, that just got insanely jealous because, I don't know, maybe he thought he spent too much money on me or something and I left, or I don't know, he was pissed. This was the one that said, I'll ruin you on the internet. The person that slandered my name, he did a huge injustice for himself karmically, because there were thousands of more people who could have went vegan, who could have gotten healthier, who could have healed heart disease, who could have healed from cancer, who could have healed on a cellular level if they would have been able to find me. But because in his eyes, he wanted to like hide me because I wasn't going to be with him, pretty fucking sick, that actually hindered thousands of people of getting the help they needed. Remember, you guys, I started going on the news and writing books in Ohio before I ever moved to California, before I ever knew what karmic was, before I ever got into a karmic relationship. No one built me, I built myself. So let's make that crystal clear. So when you target someone who has a mission to fulfill, and they're unable to fulfill that life's mission to the degree that they would be, because you're deliberately holding them back, what happens is you mess with that person's ability to make an income, which was the goal. That was the goal. You know, a man who you don't want to be with wants you to be codependent on him. That's it, right? Anything to tear your money down, anything to affect your bag. But some of you need to wake up because, you know, you don't know the person you're trying to affect, and they could actually come from money and it doesn't matter. But anytime you do that and someone's money's affected, then that affects their livelihood, it affects their personality. So some of you, and here's where we're going to get into the messages. Some of you are dealing with someone who wants to see you angry, bitter, broken, and broke. Let's say that again. Are we still only on 7 likes, you guys? Thanks, you guys. My God. Should I cut the video out before I get into the messages? Maybe I should just stop the video. Do you guys want to hear the messages? Go ahead and hit a thumbs up if you want to hear the messages, or if you just want me to end the video now. I'll give it about 1 minute. I will give it about 1 minute to see if we get anyone else. 30 seconds. I'll either share the messages or I'll end the video depending on who. Because that shows support for the channel. Also, I think I asked you to tell me where you're tuning in from. I just can't see the chat, so maybe that's why. Oh, welcome in Florida. I hope you're okay and safe. So some of you are dealing with someone who wants to see you broke, bitter, angry, and lackluster. Because if they can break you financially, how will you be able to create? How will you be able to put your work out there? How will you be able to help people? How will you be able to shoot your videos or do your work, or, you know, whatever you do? They want you dependent. They want you broke, sad, busted. Some of you are dealing with someone like that. And it's up to you to determine if you're going to allow the same cycle to repeat in your life. It's up to you. I recognize the cycle. It shocked the shit out of me this last time when it was a woman instead of a man. It was a cycle that was repeating for the 3rd and final time in my life. So some of you are dealing with a cycle where you had a parent that displayed a certain behavior, and then now you're being confronted, your partner displays the same kind of behavior. Maybe you were ignored as a kid, say that. Maybe your mom or dad ignored you, your partner ignores you, your frickin' friends ignore you, the person you want to be friends with ignores you. They're probably picking up that that's your core wound and mirroring it back to you so you learn the fucking lesson. Ever thought about that? For me, hang on. This dog, and he weighs like 65 pounds, so I keep going across the room to pick him up, and it's like I'm getting really nice arm muscles from him. Oh, are you okay? I'm sorry. I just sat on his foot. I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Give me a kiss. Okay. Sorry, sat on his foot. For me, it was that repeated cycle that I didn't want to see play out in my life anymore. Sorry, you guys, I sat down on the couch, picked him up, sat down on the couch, and I sat on his little foot. I'm sorry, buddy. He's okay. I didn't want to see that repeat anymore. I had seen it too many times. Thank God this time came in a different form where it was just someone actually in my face, in my business constantly, probably looking into what I was doing online and all that, but this time it was in my face. It wasn't someone infiltrating my business like the other two times. It was someone actually infiltrating my space. So actually, I really need to thank that woman in Vegas because she taught me a powerful lesson to set healthy boundaries, to speak them out loud, and to say fucking no more, no more, no more, honey. To where the other two people, the one did it in silence for years. Targeted my name, used old modeling photos, tried to make me look like some kind of Russian, porn star or something. I mean, he was crazy. And the other one, the guy that worked for the government, tried to ruin my business, just like the first one did. So for me, and I actually had to I had to report it federally. I had to report all of this. I had to finally go and report to someone that had more control than the people that were trying to cause harm to me. The one that tried to slander my name for years upon years upon years, I couldn't deal with that anymore. This was someone I never even looked back at. So when I had this woman infiltrating my actual physical space, it was like someone shining a light into a dark room. And she didn't know what she was doing, probably, right? She just wanted attention because no one around her was giving her attention, or I don't know. But it was like taking a big, bold flashlight and coming into a dark room and just shining a light on what I was too blind to see before. So this is how we heal. This is actually how we physically, emotionally, and mentally heal. We repeat these cycles. Let me give you another scenario. So the dude that came to me that was going through a divorce, the one that lives in San Diego, and the woman took him for all he had. He paid for her teeth. He paid for like all this furniture. He paid $80,000 for a wedding. Wasn't even in love with her, blah, 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 blah. Did it to spite me because he had called me a few months before and I wouldn't let him come see me in Las Vegas. Literally, you're gonna like have a whole marriage to spite me? Okay. And this was the person that, I dated right before I left. It wasn't the person I was with for any length of time, just a few months. It takes me like a year of being with someone to develop a deep, deep, deep soul connection. I can't just it doesn't happen for me easily at all. So, he's going through his karma now because he's got someone that's milking him for money, right? Now, did he learn? I don't know. Did he take her back after I blew him off again and said, no, 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 11-11 in the room? I have no idea. Probably not. Usually we have to go through these karmic cycles a few times where we let someone abuse us a few times, take us for everything we have, spend a bunch of money on them, and realize they're only with us for our money, right? These things, they go in cycles, folks. Learn the cycle. It takes a deep level of emotional intelligence, not computer intelligence, not fucking book intelligence, not college degrees. Takes a deep level of emotional fucking intelligence to recognize a cycle for what it is and do the work. Usually a therapist doesn't know how to explain this type of thing. Maverick agrees. No Cherimoya for you. Sorry, bud. It usually takes someone who's done a lot of deep-rooted work on themselves, someone who's not eating pork, steak, red meat, so their third eye is closed as fuck, someone who really, really understands it. But don't allow yourself, here's what I never allowed, and this is what's so beautiful. I never allowed myself to become bitter. I allowed myself to become better. Thank you, Maverick. So instead of becoming bitter every time, I become better. I'm living in $1 million home built into a mountain with wonderful neighbors and wonderful people and family close enough to where I can get in my car and drive no longer than 2 hours and see them. Hiking trails that are some of the most sought after hiking trails in the world. The most beautiful sunsets in the world, mineral hot springs I can soak in, wildlife that's teaching me massive lessons and giving me symbolism every day. 2 little dogs I love with all my heart, thriving plants, a thriving garden, and I'm about to go have a massage, all right? I'm gonna leave this up for 24 hours. Oh, the readings for the month are up, if anyone cares. I mean, maybe I should just shut this channel down and focus on my other 2 channels. There's a new live, a Trader Joe's haul on Andrea Cox TV. Go check it out. I think it's picking up speed. I noticed that today. Hang on. Honey, I'm not gonna wrestle with you, silly. You're being a butthole. Nobody likes a butthole, Maverick. They like a donut hole, not a butthole. Okay. And yeah, so I did the monthly readings. I made them super short. They're not over 4 minutes. So you can go watch them now for all the signs, sun, moon, rising, Venus in your north node. I recommend to listen to your Venus sign if you're wanting to know about your love life. Jupiter, if you're... Come here. Don't run from me. You're a stinker. You're a stinker pot. Jupiter, if you're wanting to know about your partner. Your rising sign, if you want to know how other people see you. Your moon sign, if you're pissed off or angry. And your sun sign, if you just want to know what's going on for yourself, like financially. Yeah, so I love you guys. Go check the readings out. Be well. Bye.